You heard some laughing in the background there. And I know what you might be thinking. You know, why is it okay for people to mock an elderly man falling? You know, why don't we show a little bit more respect and show a little bit of grace towards an elderly man? And I want to tell you that the fact that that man wouldn't be trusted to drive a car, he can't be trusted to walk down a hallway by himself. The fact that that man is in charge of running the government, of handling the treasury of the United States, allocating billions of dollars to foreign aid and foreign countries. That just goes to show you how far we've slipped into modern day oligarchic aristocracy. And I haven't made a lot of videos on this channel. In fact, I don't think I've made one in over a year. Could be wrong, but you know, I decided to come back. I'm going to restart this channel because I marched in the No Kings protest yesterday. And it seems to me that all of us, to a person, needs to do whatever we can do to change the current state that this country is headed towards. And this right here, this serving for life, basically, these politicians being in control of our lives until they can no longer use the restroom by themselves, this is absurd. And before you have any sort of empathy towards Mitch McConnell, I want you to know that that elderly man was once Senate Majority Leader. Let me show you another clip. This is Mitch McConnell, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Peters.
This is John McCain. And John McCain votes no. And there's an audible gasp because he was the vote that would have gutted the ACA, Obamacare. And that same Obamacare has saved hundreds of thousands of lives over the last decade. I'm not exaggerating. And this man, look how dejected he is. You know, the profits of pharmaceutical companies, the profit of the healthcare insurance scammers, they've just gone up in smoke because one man had enough guts and courage to stand up to Mitch McConnell. Now let's check out what Mitch McConnell had to say after that.
You know, clearly a disappointing moment.
Disappointing.
From skyrocketing costs to plummeting choices and collapsing markets, our constituents have suffered through an awful lot under Obamacare.
His constituents, many of them couldn't afford health insurance before Obamacare. So they had to choose between paying for health insurance or buying groceries. A lot of them, medical care was emergency room care. This is what life was like before the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. Right now, the government is shut down because these same Republicans are refusing to fund the tax credits necessary for people to survive. And he's standing up there with his suit and tie talking about affordability and choice. Meanwhile, the real choice that most Americans had back before the Affordable Care Act was, do I pay for health insurance or do I feed my children? You know how I know that? Because I've recently had to deal with the same thing. You know, I saw what my health insurance bill would be like without my tax credits, and it looked bleak. Trust me. So here he is, suit and tie, very, very fit looking Mitch McConnell, wanting to gut the Affordable Care Act and throw millions of Americans off health insurance. One other thing to note, the rogue Supreme Court that we have right now, the one who banned abortions, you know, the one who's going to gut the Civil Rights Act, Mitch McConnell, let's take a look.
Dangerous situation. We're in a very dangerous situation where one of the two main political parties has basically abandoned its commitment to democracy.
What we have now is a Supreme Court created by Mitch McConnell. The stolen seats have moved the court way too far to the right.
These people are basically...
He stole the seats because President Obama was supposed to elect one of these justices here. Actually, two of them. Look, if it wasn't for Mitch McConnell and the Republicans just blocking everything that Obama did when he was president, it wouldn't be a 6-3 court. It would probably be 5-4 liberals. Now, how does that play out in practice? This Supreme Court is set to gut the Voting Rights Act, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which will basically let the South create all white districts. And the House of Representatives going forward in the future will basically just be all white, lily white. The Voting Rights Act has protected this country and enabled diversity in Congress. These guys are set to just steamroll, amongst other horrible things they're doing. I mean, they're basically just political now. But it wouldn't be quite so bad, save for Mitch McConnell stealing the seats.
Party, and they should be treated as political actors.
If you unilaterally disarm and then have a conversation about what we might have done in these smoldering embers, I think that has to happen now.
We're taught that these institutions are cemented into history and there's no change in them, but it's not a true assessment.
When we talk about expanding the Supreme Court, we are talking about rectifying the straight up.
So now what they're talking about is we're going to have to stack the court. If Democrats ever come into power, basically it's going to be 6-3 forever unless Democrats stack the court. So that means, trans rights, gay rights, abortion rights, civil rights at this point. I'm talking about the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. All of this basically depends upon we have to increase the number of Supreme Court justices. But the only way to do that is to retake Congress and to retake the presidency. And the only way to do that is to somehow navigate the crucible, which is fascism and a tyrannical government, which we have to deal with now. They're going to do everything to rig election. Look, I'm going to get into all of this on the channel, but my main point is this. When we look at this picture and we see.
My name is Stella. I want to ask, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
When we see this is who stands between the people of the United States and despotism. And I point this out because, everybody wants the Democrats to do more. The Democrats aren't in power. The Republicans are. The Republicans control the Senate and the House. The Republican Senate stands between us falling into tyranny or remaining a free republic or saving them doing anything to help us, which they probably won't. The people themselves finally doing something, anything. And that's why I'm creating this channel. Or that's why I'm restarting my old channel, Two Minds, which started out, believe it or not, as a rideshare channel. But I am going to do everything in my power to use my voice to make any sort of change, anything at all. And I played the Mitch McConnell thing because we've gotten to a point in this country where we have lords. We have aristocrats running the Congress. We have billionaires running the presidency. Heck, we have corporations corrupting the Supreme Court, for God's sakes. It is time for all of us to do something, anything, no matter how small. In the future, we may have to practice a little bit of civil disobedience, non-cooperation like Gandhi, like MLK. But right now, we just need to do something. And that's what I'm going to do with this channel. And by the way, don't think I'm making fun of Mitch McConnell, because I'm not. He has done terrible things to this country, but I do feel, a little bit bad for him that he's elderly now and he can't walk down the hallway by himself. But he should not be leading us in the Senate. He's not the leader of the Senate, but trust me, Mitch McConnell is still a force in the Senate. He should not be a senator. He should not be in. He should, if they don't remove him from office, which they won't, he should resign at the very least. A lot of these Republicans should resign. We have military leaders right now resigning instead of following illegal orders, like bombing fishing boats in Venezuela. But a lot of these guys should resign. Look, I know this isn't a lighthearted video. I'm not going to be lighthearted for a while. I'm not going to be lighthearted until this country is safe again, until this country is out of danger again. But the one thing that gives me hope is yesterday, 7 million Americans protested. They marched, they rallied in 2,700 locations across this country to say no to Trump, to say no to kings, to say no to tyranny, and to say yes to democracy and hope and unity and solidarity. And that's what gives me motivation to go on. That's what allows me to wake up in the morning and put on my clothes and to leave the house and just exist in this world right now. This world in which Gestapo agents are coming into people's homes in the middle of the night, rappelling from helicopters and landing on apartments and snatching people and hog tying, little black children, zip tying them, and saying, fuck them kids. That's what they say. So what gives me hope is the people of this country. I know that we're good at heart. I know that we're better than this. I believe in us. And so I'm gonna post videos and I'm gonna comment on what I see. And I'm gonna be some form of small resistance, even if nobody watches this channel or watches these videos, just for my own sanity, just to vent my own frustration with the way things are headed. This country has been through worse. We have fought a civil war. We have led a labor movement. We've led women's suffrage movement. We've led a civil rights movement. The course of history for the United States of America has been a steady march towards progress, but it's always going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And when we take that 1 step back, all of us have to rally because the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.